So yesterday we did the page 1 of our Magic School Bus Inside the Human Body response booklet. We answered the genre, which was fantasy. The author's purpose is to entertain, but also give us information. The characters are Ms. Frizzle and the students. The setting is the school during the day. And so we also talked about the text feature, the text structure, in our book, and it's also in sequence. That means things happen in order, all right? All right, so today we're going to go over the sequence of events. So we're going to be working on page 2, and for page 2, you're going to need to read. Hopefully you've already read the story, but if you haven't, you're going to need to read through pages 4 through 7, all right? And they're going to give you some facts about the human body on these pages. And so that's really what we're looking for. We're really looking for those facts. So if you haven't read pages 4 through 7, I want you to pause the video right now and read that first, and then come back to this video, okay? So on pages 4 through 7, on page 4, it talks about Miss Frizzle beginning the class with a film strip. The film strip is called Your Wonderful Body, and the students kind of look like they're not really into the film strip. They kind of look like they would rather be doing something else. So if we turn to page 6, we see a notebook piece of paper in the upper left-hand corner. It says, "Your body is made of cells," by Rachel. Your body seems to be all one piece, but actually it is made of trillions of tiny pieces called cells. And then you have two of the characters at the bottom saying, "My body is made of trillions of cells. So is mine." Then we have the actual feature of the text. It says, "The very next day, the Frizz made us do an experiment on our own bodies." So the experiment, there you see posted to the wall. See your own cells. Most cells are so small that we can't see them without a microscope. Gently scrape the inside of your cheek with a toothpick. Stir the end of the toothpick in a drop of water on a slide. Add a drop of iodine solution to color the cells. Look at the slide under the microscope. See your cells. Ooh, weird, she says. Then moving on to page 7. Then she announced that we were going on a class trip to the Science Museum. We're going to see an exhibit about how our bodies get energy from the food we eat. Your cells need energy to help you grow, move, talk, think, and play. Just being in Miss Frizzle's class takes all my energy. So then you have the notebook pages again on the far right. Different kinds of cells have different jobs, by Gregory. Lung cells help you breathe. Muscle cells help you move. Brain cells help you think. So looking at this page, that's pretty much where the discussion of the body starts. But in terms of sequence on page 2, we need to figure out what happens first. So this is kind of going to go through the whole story, and we'll have to number them as we go. So the first thing that happened, we need to find. The bus drove into one of the villi. The school bus was swallowed by Arnold. The school bus passed into the stomach. Mrs. Frizzle announced they were going on a class trip to the Science Museum. From the lungs, the red blood cells carried the student back to the heart. The school bus traveled down the esophagus. Mrs. Frizzle showed the class a film strip. So maybe that one. The school bus flew out of Arnold's nose. They were swept out of the bus into the bloodstream. They left the head by climbing down the bones of the spine. So you should have had Miss Frizzle showed them a film strip first. Then the second thing you have there is when she starts talking about their own cells, and she announces that they're going on a field trip. So Mrs. Frizzle announced they were going on a field trip is number 2. You see why it's so important to have read this beforehand. All right. So as you go through, I know some of you may have already done this page, and that's great. If not, today you need to go through and you need to actually number the events in order, okay? Pay close attention to the actual text of the book. So most of your sequence parts are going to be found in this part of the story, right here, okay? In the actual text of the story. Most of it is not going to be found in the speech bubbles or the information on the side. Most of your sequence information is going to be from here, the actual story itself, okay? So again, like I said yesterday, this story is a little bit more difficult to read. You know, you might think, oh, it's just, a Magic School Bus book. That's easy to read. Well, yeah, but there's a lot of information going on here. So after you read page 7, then you probably should have noticed that it talked about cells. So if you turn in your book to the next 2 pages, pages 3 and 4, on page 3 it actually says cells. The topic is cells. So we learned something about cells. What did we learn about cells from page 7? Actually, I think it was page 6, actually. On page 6, what did we learn? We learned that cells are what? Can you see them without a microscope? No. So we could say that they are small. You might even say tiny. Okay, so that's a detail about cells. It's small. All right. So then you're going to read pages 8 through 11. You're going to do the sequence for them on here. And then you're going to come over here, and on pages 8 through 11, it's going to give you information about the esophagus. So whatever information that you have, it's going to be a factual information. So it's going to give you information that is fact. So it's true things about the esophagus. Okay. And then as you keep reading, it's going to have you go through, and it's going to talk about the stomach. It's going to talk about the small and large intestines. So you're going to want to write key details there. And on pages 5 and 6, you're also going to have key details from blood vessels, red blood cells, white blood cells, and the heart. So be careful with the red and white blood cells. Make sure you don't get those confused. Okay. And then again on 7 and 8, you're going to have the lungs, the brain, the spine, and the muscles. And then on page 9, you're going to have the nasal cavity and any other information that you think is important. Okay. So I know we normally don't do that many pages at once, but we are doing multiple pages. So this is actually going to be pretty much your lesson for today and tomorrow. Tomorrow, if you haven't finished this up, I want you to finish up this part up to page 9. So for Wednesday, everything up to page 9 should be filled out. And there is a brain pop video that I've linked for you to watch. It's all about your body, and so that could be helpful too. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about speech bubbles and how helpful they are in the story. And then, of course, on Friday, we're going to talk about, we'll review a little bit about what we know, and then you'll have your test to take. All right? So Thursday, we'll definitely go over pages 1 through, or not 1 through 9, but we'll go over pages 2 through 9 on Thursday, or excuse me, Wednesday. Getting my days all mixed up here. We'll go over pages 2 through 9 tomorrow, which is Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll talk about the speech bubbles. And on Friday, we will review a little bit and then have your test. Okay. So we'll also be talking about page 10 a little bit later on this week. But please make sure that for tomorrow, you have pages 1 through 9 completed, because that's what you need to do for today and tomorrow. All right. If you have questions, let me know.